WWE Raw starts off with Dom and Liv. They end up cutting a promo. Liv is just talking trash, about Rhea Ripley, about how she took everything from, Rhea Ripley, how she completed her revenge tour, but it ends up getting interrupted. Rhea ends up coming out. She was about to step forward to Liv Morgan, but Dom ends up stepping in front of Liv Morgan, and then Rhea Ripley basically ends up threatening Dominic Mysterio. Then Liv Morgan ends up talking to Rhea, ends up saying that Dom might have stayed with you if you cared about him as much as you cared about Damian Priest. Then she starts mentioning their bad blood match, mentions her injury, and mentions that she's not going to call off the match because she's going to win either way, because not because she's stronger or faster, it's because she is smarter than Rhea Ripley. Rhea ends up responding back and ends up mentioning their match of bad blood, and she mentions that she's cleared, and then she ends up mentioning that every title defense that Liv Morgan has, Dominic Mysterio has always interfered in it, and that at Bad Blood, Dominic Mysterio will be in a cage for their match, so he cannot interfere. So that's going to be very interesting. Then afterwards, she ended up attacking. She ended up hitting Liv Morgan with a headbutt, if I'm not mistaken. That's very interesting. It's very interesting how they're going to play that story. I'm still gonna think Liv Morgan is going to win, unfortunately, even though I just want Rhea Ripley to beat Liv Morgan, in my opinion. But I just feel like the Judgment Day would just interfere either way. If it ain't Dom, it's probably just gonna be Finn Balor, JD, and Carlito that would just interfere in the match. But who knows? But that is very interesting because it does raise a little bit of unpredictability with this match. Because typically, if Dom was there, it was easy that Liv Morgan was gonna win. Now without Dom, now it's a bit of a different conversation. So I'm very interested to see how that match will play out, and I'm very excited to see how that match will play out. Now we end up getting Sami Zayn versus Ludwig. This was a really good match. I will say I didn't like how this match ended. Sami, of course, ended up beating Ludwig. I'm not mad at that. My issue was they kind of made Sami super Sami Zayn, which was my issue because some of the things that he was just kicking out of and just overcoming was kind of ridiculous. Like they ended up doing this spot where Ludwig actually hit the drop kick, on the steel steps, but Sami Zayn still ended up recovering after that. Like I feel like they did a little bit too much with super Sami Zayn, but he ends up picking up the victory. After the match, Gunther ends up coming out. He grabs the microphone and he ends up trolling Sami Zayn once again. He starts pretending like they was gonna have a match. He ended up saying that it's time. He ended up saying that it's finally time to face you. We should do it right here, right now. But I still say no, which I thought was hilarious. This is great. I love Gunther constantly just trolling Sami, constantly denying Sami the opportunity after opportunity. I love this. I don't want this match to happen, but it's going to happen eventually. Don't know if it's going to happen at Bad Blood. Now, I heard rumors that it is going to happen at Bad Blood, so that would be very interesting. But I've been loving this so far with Gunther constantly denying Gunther denying Sami over and over again. I've loving him constantly trolling Sami, constantly denying him. Now we end up getting a New Day segment. Kofi Kingston, tries to cheer up Xavier Woods. He ends up bringing out some old New Day stuff, and he ends up mentioning how they should go back to that. Xavier kind of declines it, ends up saying that was all cool and all, but that was cool when we was actually winning, when we was actually on top. Now we've been losing matches for a couple years now. We need to get more serious. Kofi ends up agreeing, and Kofi actually ended up saying that he can take the lead. He's in charge, and that anything he says, anything goes. Then American Made ends up coming in. They end up interrupting, talking trash. This ends up leading into a match leading to the match later on the show. Now we end up getting a quick Judgment Day segment with Ilja Dragunov. This is basically a similar segment that happened last week, just without Finn Balor this week. I'm very interested to see what's the end goal with this personally, because I don't know where they can really go with this feud, because they're going to be busy with Rhea and Damian Priest, so I don't know where this goes, and I know they still have their little LWO feud, but I don't see Ilya helping out in that. So I don't know where this goes personally, but I am interested. I'm just glad Ilya getting TV time because Ilya is amazing. He deserves TV time, and the fact that they're putting him with the Judgment Day of all groups, one of the most popular factions that constantly get the most TV time on Raw. Hey, it works for me. So interested to see where that goes. Now we end up getting a quick Karrion Kross Miz segment. Miz is getting prepared for his match against Bronson Reed. Karrion Kross is basically hyping him up. The Miz is wondering what is Karrion Kross's angle, but Karrion Kross basically ignores it and ends up saying that he's just there to support the Miz, and he keeps on motivating the Miz to eventually, be confident that he could beat Bronson Reed. Then after the Miz ends up leaving, Karrion Kross gives a smile. So they're of course building towards something with Karrion Kross and the Miz, probably with Karrion Kross turning the Miz heel. That could potentially be a thing because typically Karrion Kross's gimmick right now is that any person that he interacts with typically ends up changing for the worse. Same thing happened with Shinsuke, if I'm not mistaken. I think the same thing happened. I forgot who else he interacted with that ended up Drew McIntyre. He changed his character after. It's a couple of people that after they have a feud with him, they end up Xavier Woods. So it looks like they're planting the seeds of the Miz turning heel. I'm just very interested to see how they play this up. And I like Karrion Kross. I hope this works, but given his previous past, it probably is not going to land that hard. But I hope it works. Now, we was about to get the Miz versus Bronson Reed, but then Bronson Reed ends up getting attacked by Braun Strowman, him coming out of nowhere, jumping off the barricade, and then these two just brawl. These two just constantly brawl all in the ring. Braun Strowman tries to attack Bronson Reed, but the Miz ends up pulling Braun aside because he has a match. He's like, what is he doing? Then Bronson Reed ends up doing a suicide dive onto Braun Strowman. Then they get back in the ring. Security is trying to break them apart. Then it was a moment where Bronson Reed ended up throwing two security guards on top of each other, hitting a tsunami on both security guards. These two are just going back and forth, just brawling. Security cannot break them apart. But eventually, towards the end, security was able to prevent them from stop fighting. This was great. This is amazing. I have loved this feud. This feud has exceeded my expectation. I'm assuming it exceeded everyone's expectation because I don't think no one thought a Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman feud would be this good. Afterwards, Adam Pearce ended up saying that next week they would have a last monster standing match, which I cannot wait. That match should be an absolute banger. So I can't wait to see how that match plays out. This match, in my opinion, should be on Bad Blood, but I understand why it's not on Bad Blood. But I can't wait for their match next week. Now we get a quick Drew McIntyre promo. I'm not gonna speak too much on it. He just mentions what Punk said last week in his promo. Mentions how Punk said that he's willing to sacrifice himself to finish this feud, and that Drew is willing to do the same. Then he ends up talking about this, his family and his wife didn't want him to do the match either, same like Punk's. And he ends up making a couple of promises of what's going to happen at Hell in a Cell. Nothing too much, but straight to the point. Not really much they could really do here. I'm very interested to see what they would do next week because next week is the build up. Is the go home shows for Bad Blood, so I'm interested to see how they would build up those shows. But overall, this was a solid promo. Now we end up getting the New Day versus American Made. This was a really good match. Really, really, really good match. Towards the end of the match, though, Chad Gable ends up interfering in the match. Xavier Woods gets a little frustrated, and he ends up basically crashing out on Chad Gable. He crashes out on him, constantly stomping him out. He's completely distracted. This allowed the Creed brothers, Julius Creed, to take advantage. Then they end up hitting the Brutus ball on Xavier Woods, and they end up picking up the victory. After the match, though, Xavier Woods is frustrated, of course, a little bit, but then LWO ends up coming out. Rey Mysterio tries to apologize to Xavier, but Xavier Woods ends up crashing out on Rey Mysterio. He gets a little frustrated. Rey Mysterio was trying to avoid the conversation. He was trying to mention his match against Finn Balor, but Xavier took that the wrong way, and he ends up mentioning how he never won a singles title and that he's disrespecting him because Finn Balor won a singles title and he hasn't. Then Kofi jumps in and tries to prevent Xavier to keep going. Then Xavier Woods ends up mentioning how Kobe wants a singles title, and that's why he keeps getting disrespected. So then this alludes to a match that's going to happen next week with Rey Mysterio versus Xavier Woods. We'll see how that plays out. They're slowly building up the frustration and anger of Xavier Woods, constantly losing match after match after match. Very interested to see how this will play out. I don't know what the end goal is here because I don't know if the end goal is to turn him heel. And the funny thing is, he was still wearing his all black outfit while Kobe Kingston was wearing, bright colors where Xavier was wearing dark. So that's very interesting. So I'm very interested to see what's the end goal here. Is it Xavier turning heel, or is it just him being kind of like a tweener where he's still a good guy, but he just more of a ruthless good guy, if that makes sense. So, but that's very interesting to see how this plays out. Now we get the main event: Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker. I'm just gonna get straight to the end. Towards the end of the match, Jey Uso ends up hitting a spear through the barricade onto Braun Breaker. Then soon after, he hits another spear in the ring, goes for a Uso splash, goes for the pin, and now he is your new Intercontinental Champion. I am lost for words. I did not think this was possible. I honestly didn't. I am shocked that they actually had a singles title change on Monday Night Raw because we haven't seen a singles title change on Monday Night Raw since the last time I seen this. I think was the U.S. Championship when Rey Mysterio had it. I think that was the last time they did that, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe that changed on a pay per view as well. But it's crazy because this never happened. So the fact that it happened is wild, and I didn't think they would pull the trigger. I did not. I don't think this buries Braun. I know some people are mad. Some people are saying that this was stupid, which I understand why. But at the same time, those same people are hypocrites because they constantly complain about quote unquote predictability. But then when unpredictability happens, they don't like it. Um, Braun Breaker is definitely going to come back for the title. I think so. I don't think this is going to be their only match, but man, this was a great match as well. This was a banger. I am lost for words. I did not think Jey Uso was actually going to win. I did not. The fact that he won is crazy, and the pop he got was electric. Like, this was a great moment. This was a great moment. I don't know how long he's gonna hold it. I can't really predict his reign at all. Can't tell if he's gonna be a long champion or short champion, but this was a good moment. I like it personally. I don't mind it. This was an absolute shock, but you guys let me know your opinions down below, man. I'm still a shock that he won, but you guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.